Did you know that people who have lost weight and kept it off permanently may come from all different ages and backgrounds, culturally and economically, but study after study shows that they have a lot in common when it comes to how they finally were able to succeed at weight release. In today's episode of Thin Thinking, we are going to look at the 3 skill sets that most weight masters develop when releasing weight that allows them to be successful in the long term. I hope you are as excited as I am. Did you know that our struggle with weight doesn't start with the food on your plate or get fixed in the gym? 80% of our weight struggle is mental. That's right. The key to unlocking long-term weight release and management begins in your mind. Hi there, I'm Rita Black. I'm a clinical hypnotherapist, weight loss expert, best-selling author, and the creator of the Shift Weight Mastery process. And not only have I helped thousands of people over the past 20 years achieve long-term weight mastery, I am also a former weight struggler, carb addict, and binge eater. And after 2 decades of failed diets and fad weight loss programs, I lost 40 pounds with the help of hypnosis. Not only did I release all that weight, I have kept it off for 25 years. Enter the Thin Thinking podcast, where you too will learn how to remove the mental roadblocks that keep you struggling. I'll give you the Thin Thinking tools, skills, and insights to help you develop the mindset you need, not only to achieve your ideal weight, but to stay there long term and live your best life. Hello, and welcome to our podcast today. For those of you who are new to the Thin Thinking podcast, I want to welcome you. I am so happy you are here. We are now in the middle of September of 2021, so that means we have reached our 6-month anniversary of the Thin Thinking podcast, which is extraordinary and amazing. I never thought that I would have a podcast, let alone be 6 months into it. And boy, I'm having a ball doing this. I want to thank all of you guys, all of you loyal listeners who have been tuning in and spreading the word all over the world. So thank you. We've had a lot of people listening. And just from the most super interesting places. I mean, places I never thought people would be tuning in. So it's super cool. So I'm really celebrating all things Thin Thinking this month with a live free, it's absolutely free masterclass that is coming up super soon called How to Stop the Start Over Tomorrow Weight Struggle Cycle and Start Releasing Weight for Good. We are going to be doing some hypnosis in this masterclass, which will be amazing. And especially for those of you who are new to it or have never done any hypnosis, it's a really great little, put your toe in the water kind of experience. The link to join is in the show notes and on the podcast webpage. So just please go sign up, and it's coming up this week. So get in there now. And those of you tuning in later, check out the link in our on-demand version. But if you can come live, please do. I love the energy of having everybody live, and I will get to answer your questions. So please sign up and come live. So today's episode, I am diving into the importance of approaching weight mastery with a thin thinking perspective of building skills of weight mastery versus being good on a diet. At the bottom line, weight mastery is about developing yourself and developing skills rather than hoping you're going to be good, pulling it together, and trying to be perfect, which is never going to happen. Sorry, but that is just the truth, even though the diet industry will have you think differently. So when you think about it, have you ever met anyone with long-term weight loss who said to you, yes, I have been perfect on the XYZ diet for 20 years, just been doing it perfectly every day? And even people who maybe perhaps used a particular way of eating, like Atkins or vegetarianism, will say that they adapted that way of eating to themselves and their lifestyle. So it wasn't like they followed along perfectly, but they adapted it and made them work for them. So they took ownership. They owned a way of eating for themselves from the inside out versus being good from the outside in, which is what we do when we're trying to be good. When we give the power to the diet or that way of eating clean or keto or whatever, rather than taking ownership for ourselves and developing ourselves from the inside out, which is what is truly essential for success. Long-term success with weight is the same as anything else in our life that we have been successful with. Think about the areas of your life that you've really mastered and are successful. You have developed yourself. You have learned. You've done trial and error. It hasn't come easily, and you have built skills and probably are continuing to do so over time. I think about all the different things that I do in my life that I cherish and value, like being a parent. I certainly did not start out feeling confident as a parent. But over the years, I have evolved. And I have to continue to evolve because what was required of me as a parent when my children were babies is certainly different than it is now while they're young adults going out into the world, creating chaos and using my credit card. Talk about, a new skill set of what did you spend this month? Maybe you should get a job that pays a little more, skills like that. Telling your children to earn a little more. So, but I don't, but, our evolution in anything, in your job, in your profession, think of a hobby that you're good at. You became better and better at it as you went along. I have gotten into gardening over the years, and, I have killed a lot of plants in my time, but I didn't take it personally, and I didn't start over gardening again. No, I kept going, and I kept evolving, and I got better and better, and boy, you should see my dahlias now. They're really good. So that doesn't mean I am going to quit while I'm ahead. I have a lot to learn in the world of gardening because I still can't seem to figure out which vegetables should be grown in the summer because I just don't get that yet. But tomatoes turned out well, zucchini turned out well, but man, the green beans did not, and boy, did the basil look sickly. So not quite there yet, but I'm evolving and I'm developing myself, and I put my energy there. So when we struggle with weight, what happens is we just get stuck in this perpetual cycle of pulling it together and being good on Monday, or starting a diet or an exercise routine and hoping it's going to last so that we can finally lose the weight. And then something goes off track and we say, oh, well, I blew it, or, oh, well, I couldn't do it right now. I'm going to focus later. And it's back to square one. So frustrating. And, I understand the struggle. And a lot of it is, the diet industry over the last 30, 40 years has really created this idea of happily ever after. Find the right diet and you're going to live happily ever after. And it really is focused on you, and you, like, if you're the right person, if you're a good person, if you're a disciplined person, you'll be able to pull it together and lose the weight. And it's all about being good, and it's all about being clean, or having, the perfect organic mix of this and that, or being super duper this and that. And it really doesn't work like that. But that's the culture that has been created. And then we develop our own perfectionistic inner critic, which has very high expectations of what we need to do in order to lose weight. And again, when we don't live up to that, when we get off track, we get beaten up by that critic and told, you're a lazy pig, or you're super undisciplined, and better people than you have lost weight, and why can't you pull it together, and why is it such a struggle for you, and must be something wrong with you and your body, and there isn't. It's just that we're approaching it from a completely wackadoo mindset and way. And it's not your fault that this is out there, but it is out there. And now it's time to take charge and come at it from a different place. When I struggled up and down the scale for 20 years, I thought weight loss was about being good, meaning adhering to the plan or eating clean. And I struggled for years. Every time I failed, because of course I was never going to follow a diet exactly for the rest of my life or eat clean or be perfect. So when I began my own shift, I started getting curious about long-term success. Other people have been successful. Well, what are they doing that I wasn't? And it turns out what I found was there are a lot of studies about people who have lost weight and kept it off long term. And the main distinction between masters and strugglers, masters developed skills that allowed them not only to lose weight because they saw it as a skill building versus being good process. They took ownership of their development and they became apprentices. Now, they might not have been consciously becoming apprentices, but they really started to look at this as I'm going to change my lifestyle and I am going to probably, learn in this lifestyle and make mistakes, and I'm going to learn how to, feed myself appropriately and learn how to release weight within that. I'm going to learn how to get myself to exercise consistently. And again, I don't think everybody started out with that, I'm developing skills, but the mindset wasn't about perfectionism. The mindset was about developing, going on this journey, changing their lifestyle, and coming at it from a self-respecting standpoint rather than a self-discipline and, I've got to be perfect standpoint. And so you can start coming at it from a different standpoint just by shifting your mindset and starting to look at this from a journey, as a journey of development, of skill building, and start to build the confidence and the ownership around that, or get the ownership that comes with getting confidence. Just going back to parenting, when my daughter was a little baby, oh my God, I was a shit show. I had read all these books, I'm organized, I'm a Virgo. I had frickin' 16 books by my bedside while I was nursing my daughter about nursing, and they all had these different advice. I was a wreck. Oh my God. And I had the charts and the graphs and you put the safety pin on one side, the breast you just gave your child milk from, and then you put it on the other side oh my God. My husband was like, what is, I became this crazy woman, and I literally, I had to throw out the books, and I had to just kind of take it one day at a time with my motherhood. And I got there, and I kind of, was stopped trying to be perfect, and I just started to give my daughter what she needed. And therefore, true skills were developed. And some days I was better at than others at giving my daughter what she needed. And then, by the time my son rolled around a few years later, oh my God, I was so much more lax and relaxed because I had those skills. I knew how to tune into a newborn. I knew it wasn't going to be a big deal if he spit up milk, like that he wasn't dying or whatever. I knew that because I had developed those skills. I had that confidence. I had that ownership. So when I lead a shift weight mastery process, I teach people the 9 skills of weight mastery, which are basically all of those studies boiled down into, 3 skill sets, and there are 9 skills. But for our purposes today, I just want to, kind of dive into the skill sets. I don't want to dive into the skills specifically because we would be here forever. But I want to give you a gist of what I feel like are the most important skill sets of weight mastery so that you can start to think about things from a little different perspective. Now, once you make this shift from, being good or bad into developing skills, the main distinction I want you to take away from this is that you are using your mind way more effectively. It's not like, oh, Rita, you're being dogmatic and you have to build skills. It's just like, no, I'm not trying to, like if you want to continue to be good or bad, that's totally fine. But you need to know that being good in your brain absolutely means nothing. No lessons are being learned when we are being good. We are the opposite of good is bad. So we can either be good or we can be bad. But our brain isn't really learning lessons from that. We either are failing or we're succeeding. And ultimately, the brain doesn't really operate like that. The brain really learns, likes to learn and likes to get curious about what is working and what isn't working. And so when we're coming at it from the good, oh, well, I blew it, let me go back to the beginning, there's no learning happening. There's only focus externally on, are we being good or bad? I hope I'm getting this across to you. So what skill building becomes is this powerful self-communication system. What did I learn? How can I improve? And it allows you to be curious and creative, i.e. engaging your deeper brain, your subconscious mind, and gives you ownership, which is, like I said, completely different from the struggle. So that is why the first set of weight skills are what I call the mind skills. And the mind skills, just to give you a brief overview, are, really learning to manage your inner critic, learning to manage your inner rebel, and really in developing your inner coach. So our critic and our rebel, obviously, when we are struggling with our weight, run the show. Our critic loves to beat us up, and our rebel loves to say, hey, well, since you blew it, you might as well eat it all, and we'll start again tomorrow. We'll start again tomorrow, and we'll start again tomorrow. So our critic and rebel are sort of in a power play for our attention, and when we are struggling, our inner coach really doesn't have a voice. So the skills that we are developing as a weight master in our mind skills are really developing that voice within us, which is the nurturing, self-respecting voice. And that voice is the inner parent, but it's really the inner scientist too, getting really curious about when things go well, what happened, like what went well for us, because it isn't about when we're going, oh, it went good. Again, the brain doesn't understand good, but if it says, oh, that went well because I planned ahead, I brought enough food so that I didn't get too hungry, and that's why I didn't overeat when I went out to the restaurant, right? Now I learned something. Now I reinforce that. So that inner coach within me starts to point things out and starts to reinforce, oh, yeah, we won here because this. Or when things don't go well, it's not like, oh, you blew it, you're a loser, you're never going to succeed. But like, oh, that didn't work for us because we didn't plan ahead. And look, you just got too hungry, and that's why you ended up eating all the bread or, eating 3 pieces of bread that you didn't intend to eat and overdoing it with dinner. What can we do the next time that we go out that will allow us to win, allow us to go and eat a healthy dinner and enjoy ourselves? What can we do? And then guess what? The brain will start to think about it and it will start to come up with some solutions. And then you'll go out the next time and you'll get that win. And you'll go, my goodness, aren't I not the most clever person in the world? And you'll own that. And you'll own that new skill that you developed of thinking ahead when you go out to eat and making sure that you don't go in starving. But you developed that. You weren't good, right? So that's how our inner coach becomes sort of our inner guide on our journey of weight mastery. And so, developing this voice of the inner coach, I think, is like the top skill because it is our lifelong relationship that guides us through not just releasing weight, but keeping weight off. And if you heard my birthday show, where I talked about maintaining my weight for 26 years, you will know, or if you go back and listen to it, that really reinforces the idea of having a powerful relationship with your inner coach. So the next skill set is what I would call the weight skills. And these are the skills of basically the physics of weight release, right? So really, how are we leveraging energy, meaning energy in and energy out, you know, staying within the boundaries of our body's needs for weight release and then maintenance. And, you know, our bodies do burn a certain amount of energy. And when we really learn to live our lives, and this is one of the skills is like living your life, not depriving your life, but living your life within your body's energy needs for weight loss and then weight maintenance. It's a different focus than dieting or being good on a diet, because you're really learning to feed yourself in a way that, and so the skills are really about the laws of physics and releasing weight, but also about learning about what foods work for you and what foods, you know, maybe don't work for you so much, like in balancing that out. Like the me who released 40 pounds and kept that off, that was a developmental journey of learning, you know, and a relationship, changing my relationship with food. One, about the quantity of what I was eating, the quality of what I was eating, the amount that my body needed. You know, I would release a certain amount of weight and then I was like, oh, okay, I need to release more. What, you know, so obviously I need to kind of change the, you know, maybe I'm upping the amounts of light foods and decreasing the amounts of densely caloric foods, but in a way that I'm not feeling deprived, that I'm enjoying it. You know, again, you really need an inner coach as you are developing this way, because you are developing a way of eating that you are going to sustain in the long term. This isn't a short-term fix. So you want to respect yourself. And I think a lot of people try to lose weight really quickly because we don't, you know, I call it loving ourselves down the scale. You know, I think the more quickly we try to lose weight, the less we learn the lessons of really truly learning a way of feeding ourselves that we can sustain. So, and research shows that people who release weight more slowly actually are able to adapt to that lifestyle of eating in a way that allows them to support their weight release rather than, you know, a quick fix, total deprivation diet where we are, you know, white knuckling it, but losing weight fast, but then we can't sustain it. So really look at this, you know, the weight release piece too is like, and the exercise piece, it isn't just about exercising your buns off for a short period of time, but, you know, the skills of weight mastery and the weight skills are really about not just what it takes to release weight, but what it takes to motivate yourself to stay with it, to keep exercising even when you don't want to exercise, to inspire yourself when the food might seem to be, you know, getting a little boring. And then, you know, as we talked about boring in a different episode, it's not really boring, but it's our interpretation. But to keep ourselves in the game by, you know, really learning which foods we can make quickly when we don't have time, and really learning how to prepare things ahead of time. And all of that is developing skills. So, of weight mastery. So the weight skills encompass not just weight loss, but all the skills that support the food piece, the exercise piece, the self-care piece of that. And the last piece, which the last skill set, which I consider kind of the most fascinating, because most of us don't really think about it too much when it comes to weight mastery, are the environmental skills. Because if you think about it, here's the thing. You have a brain, you know, and that brain is kind of running your body. And so, you know, you need to manage your mindset. You need to manage your weight. You know, need to learn how to manage your weight release. But we rarely think about the environments that we live in and how those also need to be aligned to help us on our weight journey and our weight maintenance. So some of the skills of the environment are really, one, learning to use, like measure things and make sure that the amount of food that you're eating is what you think you're eating. um, you know, why measuring and keeping data like weighing yourself and even tracking what you're eating becomes really helpful, especially and this is, again, supported by lots of studies who have looked at like long-term permanent weight management, tracking, measuring, weighing, as much as a lot of us might have limiting beliefs and negative mindsets about that. Why it can be so supportive is it allows your inner coach the data it needs to speak powerfully with us when the scale sometimes is up or it's down. We have that data to look to stay out of cognitive distortion. When we are just relying upon our emotions, when we are just running our weight mastery from how do I feel today? Do I feel light? Do I feel not? It's not going to be a long-term recipe for success if we're just focusing on eating clean or eating in a particular way and hoping that is going to allow us. That might get us so far on the weight loss journey, but I've met with tons of clients who, like I was on keto or I was eating clean or I was doing this and I lost 20 pounds, but it stopped. And now I don't know, like what's going on. I think I'm eating healthy. I'm still eating keto. Why am I not losing weight? And it's usually because it usually goes back to the data. It's like you are still consuming too much food to continue your weight release. So even though you might be eating super clean food, it is too much for your body now at what your body weighs. And we need to readjust your expectations. We need to readjust the way that you're feeding yourself. And that's not a negative thing. Most people are like relieved when they're like, oh, okay, I get it. That makes sense to me. I was just so frustrated. It's a lot more frustrating not to know than to know. So data and interacting with data and the things like measuring, like even measuring when the scale goes up for me, what do? I measure stuff because I think I'm pretty smart, right? Like I think, well, I've managed my weight for 26 years. Of course, I'm super cool, right? No, wrong. My eyes are human eyes, and my perception of what is 2 or 3 ounces of chicken or a cup of fruit or, I'm pretty good at eyeballing stuff, but what happens is my eyeballs will adjust and they'll get a little blousy. And, what I think is 3 ounces then becomes 6 ounces. And, that might not seem like that big of a deal, but when you're a 57-year-old woman, and believe me, I've measured the metabolisms of a lot of women over the age of 40, and we aren't burning a lot of energy, ladies. And, we are burning energy for sure, but the difference between 300 calories and 400 calories a day food, if we're mindlessly overeating it, even though it's super clean, like avocado or healthy nuts, or even if it's a bunch of vegetables and fruit, if we're eating too much and going over that, we're dipping into that deficit that is necessary to release the weight, and so we might be thinking, man, I'm eating clean and I'm giving up because I'm eating clean and nothing's happening. Getting clear on the data will really help you be able to be in the driver's seat of how much you're releasing, when you're releasing. My clients, again, and students, believe me, people all fight back when I say, we need to collect data, and they're like, what? Why am I, and and most of the people that I interview, who are, successful students, they'll say, when you told me that, I was so pissed off, but oh my God, it was the biggest eye opener, and I realized why I hadn't been losing weight, right? So, so the environment piece, part of that is data. Part of it is having support in your life. People live in your life, whether you like it or not. You have family or parents or coworkers or, people you interact with. And if they aren't on board with your weight mastery, then things might get challenging. So we need to create what I call our support team. And, and it also helps to have people in your life who are on the same journey with you because you learn from them. I'm in business courses because I'm, developing my business. And, I learn the most from other business owners because they're in the same boat as me and their mistakes become my mistakes. And I learn from that. So get support, get data. And then the other part of the environment piece is really, if it's in your environment, and it's not working for you, that's an issue. Stimulus control, it's controlling what's in your environment and what's out of your environment. Think about it. You have a brain, and your brain has a reward center, and that reward center has been primed for particular foods that you like to eat. So even if that food is in your deepest reaches of your cupboard, your brain knows it's there, and it will keep bugging you to go and get it until it's gone. Unless you have some superior relationship with it or whatever, you freeze it or do something and you're cool with it, okay, great. Then that's not a problem. But if it's in a problem, then don't have it in your environment. Why would you, even if you're your kids want cookies, okay, great. Well, I'm sure there's some cookies that you don't like that you can have in your environment that aren't going to be an issue for you. But, and to the opposite effect, get those foods in your environment that support you, that you can reach for, that don't trigger you. That stimulus control, believe it or not, is 60 to 80% of the name of the game. And people don't believe me, but, think about it. Anytime you've probably gotten off track is probably because something was in your environment that tempted you and caused you to get off track. So, we gain food with the same place, we gain weight with the same food, the same places at the same times. So stimulus control. So, there you go. Those are the 3 skill sets: the mind, the body, and your environment. And those are skills that you can start to really develop, and you will start to see, really be on your journey of weight mastery and really start to reap the rewards of being on that powerful journey and developing that inner coach. So I definitely believe the shift from, being good, being bad, to developing yourself is going to give you a whole new way of communicating and confidence, and is really ultimately the door to your success. So I hope that you have found this successful. I hope you have found this helpful. And think about that. Do you want to stay in the struggle, or do you want to start to develop yourself for long-term success? I really believe the key is in beginning to see yourself, as somebody who is an apprentice developing a powerful set of skills. So, having said that, please join me for my free, it's absolutely free, masterclass, How to Stop the Start Over Weight Struggle Cycle and Start Releasing Weight for Good. In this 75-minute masterclass, I am going to be taking you through a lot of stuff, the common weight loss mistakes that keep you struggling, the 3 mental shifts that you can make to remove the resistance and roadblocks and start losing weight for good, and my 4-part shift process that has helped thousands of people lose weight long-term by using mind power over willpower. And we will be doing some hypnosis. You're going to finish that class feeling clear on what you need to do to lose weight permanently, motivated because you have a roadmap that breaks you out of the frustration, and excited because you know you can be successful. So get in there. It's filling up fast. I think we only have a few seats left. The link is in the show notes. And if you're listening to this after the September of 2021, I think there'll probably be a link in there for the on-demand version. But come to the live if you can. So have an amazing week. I really hope it's an amazing, powerful week for you, developing those skills. And remember that the key, and probably the only key to unlocking the door of the weight struggle, is inside you. So keep listening and find it. If you want to dive deeper into the mindset of long-term weight release, head on over to www.shift www.shiftweightmastery.com. That's www.shiftweightmastery.com, where you will find numerous tools and resources to help you unlock your mind for permanent weight release, tips, strategies, and more. And be sure to check the show notes to learn more about my book, From Fat to Thin Thinking, Unlock Your Mind for Permanent Weight Loss.